Hello, everyone. You are listening to TaiwanRe. This is our final episode 8 in our summer series this year. And tonight we have our guest, Sylvie Barbier, who actually been with us like 5 years ago, back in 2012. She was an artist and she's still an artist. And she has something new to actually present to us. And I'm very curious about what is this about, which we're going to tell you later. Xiwei, can you actually tell us what is your new project?
So our new project is called Art Earth Tech. We aim to foster wellness and wisdom around communities. And we do that in many different ways. And one of the main ways is through gathering people that we found are doing things that are really interesting, and to have peer-to-peer sharing knowledge and workshops and things like that, and to really support our members in what they're up to in the world and for them to contribute to each other.
Yeah, it sounds quite grand at the moment. And in this internet show, you can either go onto our Facebook page, you can just Google TaiwanRe at Facebook, or you can go to their website. It's
www.artearthtech.com.
So cool. And we'll come back to the further discussion later.
Dites-le-moi du bout des lèvres, je l'entendrai du bout du cœur. Vos cris me dérangent, je rêve, je rêve. Oh, dites-le-moi doucement, murmurez-le-moi simplement. Je vous écouterai bien mieux, sans doute. Si vous parlez du bout des lèvres, j'entends très bien du bout du cœur. Et je peux continuer mon rêve, que l'amour soit à mon oreille, tout comme le chant des abeilles, en été un jour au soleil, au soleil. Regardez dans le soir qui penche, la pince au poilier qui balance, quelle est jolie sa voile blanche qui danse. Je vous le dis du bout des lèvres, vous m'agacez du bout du cœur, vos cris me dérangent, je rêve, je rêve. Venez donc me parler d'amour, à voix basse dans ce contre-jour, et faites-moi, je vous en prie, silence. Prenons plutôt au soir qui penche, la pince au poilier qui balance, quelle est jolie sa voile blanche qui danse. Je vous dirai du bout des lèvres, je vous aime du bout du cœur, et nous pourrons vivre mon rêve, mon rêve.
Hello, you are back to TaiwanRe. Tonight we have Sylvie with us for presenting her projects with us tonight. And Sylvie, can you just tell us a little bit about you?
About me.
Such a big question, right?
Yes.
But you just chose a French song, so what's up?
So I'm French Taiwanese, which explains the French song by the artist Barbara, which is a beautiful song. I'm an artist. I also am an educator, and I'm now working more with methods related to Steiner-Waldorf method. So it's a kind of new approach to education. It's been around for a while, but I try to apply it to maybe fashion and to art. It has to do a lot with presence and observation. So that's definitely a new journey for me. But an artist is, for me, it's been on for a while. So it's like expressing what we feel and observe and our consciousness. Yeah.
And then what did you do? Sort of like what was your explore rate? Like like what did you explore
What did I explore?
between like art and education in these past few years?
That's very interesting. What I like to do is allow a space for people to express themselves and to push and let them accomplish things that maybe they would never think they would ever tried, and to see things in themselves, potential in themselves that if they were not faced to this opportunity, they would have never risen up. So, and also allow them a space to express what is dear to them and what makes them who they are. So it's definitely a gesture of inward looking as what constitute you, and then outward reaching to expose and having the courage and vulnerability to do so.
And did you actually learn what you learn all these things through like teaching in different places? Like you were teaching in Florence.
Yes, I taught at Polimoda and I taught at Yed, and I'm learning so much through this job, and I'm still learning. I also taught children, and it's a very different approach, and it's always finding each person is a door, and they have each a different key that allows you to open this door, and it's your job to try to find which one is the right key. So I'm like St. Peter's walking around trying to find a way to break in there.
Yeah, and then what happened? Because I heard of like you did this conference or like this gathering or meetup called Epic Failure.
Yes, about a year ago or so, I organized a conference called Epic Failure, both in Florence and Taiwan, which was to maybe to reach out to young people, to allow them to be like, hey, it's okay for things to not work out the way you thought it would. Just keep persevering. Sorry, I just lost my English. Yes.
Yeah, and then what did you like? What kind of topics you been touched before, like both in Florence and in Taiwan?
Oh, we touch people. Our speakers came from very different background, from fashion to design to technology to business to scientists to yoga. I try to be inclusive in the age range as well as the profession background.
And then what was the most epic failure you heard from these two events you organized?
Well, I think I had a good advice from one man who was called David Dupuis, who would say if you create your own company, sometimes it's not so good to find investors straight from the beginning, because then they have a hold on to you, and then you create the project and they can kick you out and while you're the one who initiated the project. So sometimes it's better to take the time to not have outside money and to do it first step by step in your own means before letting somebody in. So I was like, that's not often what you hear. Often you hear like, try to get big investors and da-da. And I was like, oh. And he spoke from experience, being kicked out probably of his own company.
Was he a designer?
No, he was a businessman working mainly around technology.
Wow. And can you kind of just tell us a little bit about these art, earth, tech things? It's going to be a first year this summer.
Yes, it's our first edition. So this year we take under the shape of a summer gathering where we invited people who we found interested. We also receive outside demands to which we respond positively if we believe like we have very similar value system and they're interesting. And at the heart of it is me and Rufus Pollock, as well as two other people called Jonathan Ekstrom and Liam Cavanian. And so we have a very different background, all of us, you know, from artists to technologists to biologists and cognitive scientists. And but what we have at, close to our heart is the same as wanting to see a weller world and trying to reconcile wisdom with our contemporary way of living.
I mean, this is like a theme you're gonna run for several days, or what? How did you actually come? Because it started as a quite an abstract idea, and toward to the current stage, like you actually put up actual physical events together.
Yes.
So can you? It's almost like creating an artwork, but through
Definitely.
different way.
I think our approach today is to be very present to ourselves and our mission, and to also be present to the feedback that we receive from people and people's insight, and we create from that. And therefore, the form is quite can evolve. Today, we're in the form of a gathering, and we intend to also create physical space to allow more community building. And we also have an online forum for our members so that they can discuss topics and research that they've been doing, because Facebook and Twitter are limited platform if you want to discuss things in depth. And we are aiming to do a yearly publication. So as a breathing, you know, you have an inward conversation, you inhale and then you exhale and you share what you've been studying and observing.
So you chose like a group of people who apply to.
Yes, we either invite them or they apply, and if we believe that we have a same gesture towards what they aim to create, then yeah, we definitely also take people in.
So can you just kind of like describe a little bit about what is this actually is?
Art of tech. So first, if you have the word art, that's more my element. I think art is our expression of our consciousness, our humanity, and is very embedded in who we are as human being, and how can one approach it in a well way, and how can practice wellness in art. And also earth, because it's something our life depends on, and how can we think of agriculture in a way that can be implemented so that we live well with our land, our Mother Earth.
So who is going to be in charge of that earth things?
It's more Jonathan Ekstrom, who's a biologist. But each of us also have a strong relationship to each domain. And we have technology, which Rufus Pollock is more defined. He worked a lot. He founded previously Open Knowledge, and worked a lot around the topic of open information and open data. So technology, we live by our technology, and we create the world we live in for our technology. So it's very important to address this thoughtfully. And finally, but not least, which is really important, is Liam. He's a cognitive scientist, and also the way we perceive the world and having a mindful way and presence to ourselves and the issues we're facing is really important. How do we see ourselves in this world? Yeah.
And oh wow, I have too many questions, but let's pause for a little bit, because you actually bring me a really amazing playlist today. And there's one song from Sahala.
It's the TaiwanRe one. They're a Tuareg group.
everyone. You are listening to TaiwanRe. Tonight is our last episode in the summer series, and we have a very big topic to talk about. She will actually bring us a thought of her new project called Art Earth Tech. So, why you have to do this project now? Like, why this year? And
Why Art Earth Tech and why now? I guess because I've noticed, and I think it's a common observation, that our society reach a certain limits in terms of way to approach life. I mean, materialism has been great, and it brought us, material wealth and took us out of poverty, but it also alienated us. And I think individualism also hit a certain end, like a dead end. And I think it was also a great thing to experience as a human being in our, humanistic history. But I also think we've hit a dead end here, and now are composed, and we need to open up to a new way of being. And I really believe in collaboration and collective to do things together, which demands more effort, also humbleness, and a more wider view. And if we really want to do things, we really need to listen to each other and learn from each other. So, yeah.
And when you were when you graduated from arts, and then you were practice as an artist for several years, and when you come up with this idea, do you personally also feel like there's too much things for one single artist just to emphasize individual importance? Or what was your artist passage on this?
For me, it had to do with experiencing of moving around, living in cities like London or Taipei, who are very vertical. And, vertical goes with vertigo. It makes you feel a bit dizzy. And it's also studying in architecture that very, very, very tall building doesn't make you feel very well. And a certain alienation of people in the cities. And having lived in Florence, which is a beautiful city, and, there you see the horizon, there's a great way of wellness and living. And also going to the Sahara and, getting to meet the nomads. I really wanted to kind of get the contemporary city life and the wise, traditional, ancestral wisdom to meet each other. So how can we create wisdom in the heart of what gives the impulse of the world, which are cities? If you have poison in the heart, it will go into all your members. So you need to put something well in them. So cities are now becoming so important. In the future, probably 70% of the world population will be in cities. So we should really want to create a good flow of wellness and energy there.
Can you share with us a little bit about the project you did in Sahara?
Yes, it was a beautiful adventure where I really wanted to illustrate a lot of the issues that goes around the Sahara, goes from the desertification and also the alienation of certain nomadic tribe, and the problem they have with the borders that are not very natural, and the beauty of their culture, the sort of violence that also goes there. So I got to meet beautiful lords who are very connected with nature. And, today with ecology, often the discourse they have is an ecology that wants to punish us, say, oh, you're a bad person, you're not recycling, They want to hit us with a stick. And it's, sometimes it works, but therefore our gesture towards ecology comes from guilt. Whereas you could also approach it one where it's done because you feel completely connected with nature. And for example, tribes in the Sahara, their life really depends on it. So they have a relationship to ecology that is not one done with a wood stick hitting them, but more because they have a deep love and concern. So I think we should also learn from this wisdom of how, if a gesture is done through love and not through fear, it will be a much powerful and weller one.
Oh, that's really nice one. Actually, I didn't know the story behind this. And then I'm very curious about when you were like were you living with the tribe when you were there?
Yes, we stayed with them for a few weeks, and it's a phenomenal experience because you get to really see the movement of the cosmos, and so understand your very little place as a human being in the cosmic movement.
So where is this Arts Earth tag gonna be in this year?
So this year we're doing it in a flower farm 1 hour from Paris called La Chiraille. It's a place where I have a lot of link to it because I used to spend a lot of time there as a child, and it's magnificent. You just have flowers to the end of your eyes. You can't see so many colors, so many variety. And it's a way for one to reconnect to oneself and also what matters. And it definitely originated a lot of the desire to create Art Earth Tag because sometimes you now have children who are afraid of nature, who are afraid of insects, who are afraid of rain, and they don't understand that there is a lot of goodness in nature, and you have to be in touch with it to see that. You have to see it. To see is to love.
Where did you see those people afraid, like little kids afraid of nature? What was your personal experience on that?
In schools with kids because they're like, it's disgusting. You know, they don't trust nature. And I think it's very dangerous because if you don't trust nature, you won't be able to trust yourself because you are nature.
Wow. And was that sort of like happening through the way they live in the city, the way they sort of be protected by their parents? And
yeah, I think Taiwan definitely suffers a lot from that. But in cities, even if you look, a lot of schools, they're all made of concrete, and for health and safety reason, you know, like there's a lot of, you know, schools looks like cage, looks like prison. You're afraid that the kid will hurt himself, so you remove every experience, and so they don't get to use their senses and they don't get to perceive truly the world they live in.
And what's happened if people join the Art Earth Tag? So how many days? Like
so, yeah. If they come, so they would come. It starts from the 24th of July to the 31st of July. They would spend 7 days with us. They would eat the food from the organic farm mostly. In the morning, would discuss, you know, how to apply wisdom with the city, with technology, with earth. Each day we have a thematic. We'd do a workshop where we'd learn how to, you know, make fire with nothing, to perceive your new senses through play, and learn to work collaboratively. We have many really fun workshops to do. Also, theater ones where you have to incarnate and create the movement of the plant. So through your movement, you understand what is the gesture. Because often we look at plants like, okay, you know, you can eat it and it has loads of minerals, but what is the plant? What is its gesture? What is it saying to us?
That sounds quite. In my head is like full of this cartoon like image of like the plants were able to tell you something, but who are like, so in that workshop, like let's say like in these 7 days, and how are you guys gonna sort of plant in these kind of interactions? Are people just gather together? What was
the dynamic?
Yeah.
Well, moments to relax and play is really important because I also believe in joy and playfulness to create group cohesion and conversation that you would never expect. We are very practical. I mean, people who founded it are very practical and pragmatic people. So although there's a hint of something quite, you know, airy-like about this conversation around wisdom, our real aim during the gathering is to be like, okay, guys, we invited you because we really want to make wisdom happen in a concrete way. And how can we support that for what you do in your life, but how can we support that in the world in general?
So do you have like daily plans, like
Yeah, we
daily
have daily
timetables?
we have daily timetables, and in the morning, that's more what it would be dedicated to.
And people have to bring their own projects with it, like to discuss or how.
If they wish, yes,
Okay.
they can. We have open slots if they wish to discuss a specific topic that they've observed. If they want to present something, they are more than welcome to. They don't have to, you know. The first gift they do is their presence. If
And then when you say like you're trying to gather a group of people are like-minded, what kind of mind are you guys finding?
I think there's a lot of people who are concerned about wanting to create a world weller, and often maybe a bit isolated, or it's also a very taboo topic, you know. And so it's like, hey, you know, like over here you can just, you know, talk about it, and also hopefully we can support each other, because often, you know, maybe a person working in permaculture would really benefit in knowledge about certain data around the soil or the plants. Maybe artists would really benefit from the understanding of a herborist or somebody. You know, it's really about offering connection that maybe wouldn't happen so easily.
And how are you going to present? Let's say, let's reverse it. How are you going to present tech in these 7 days?
Tech, we also have like a workshop around data expedition to learn how to mine data. That's more Rufus Pollock's domain. And also the conversation of like, you know, for example, digital information is a very different product and good than physical goods. And there is a lot of laws that are applied to digital information that don't suit very much. So, and what does it mean? Sometimes it means that it kills innovation. It doesn't allow certain innovation to exist. And how can we have a weller approach to technology in the way we invented? You know, sometimes you have an app to remind you to not to delete your notification, rather than it creates more dependency for its technology. And is that a good thing or a bad thing?